and welcome to this lesson on understanding how zero-shot prompting, multi-shot prompting, and temperature are effective techniques to help you draft a prompt for better output texts. When we talked about the question in our previous video, write an essay on the impact of the American Revolution, we draft a thesis statement which talks about the main ideas of secured independence, political impact, and democratic ideals. In order to develop the main ideas further, we will first look at zero-shot prompting, which is a technique wherein we use a large language model such as ChatGPT to perform a task without giving it any prior examples of how the task should be done. So now we can see that we use ChatGPT and write a prompt to ask it for an outline for the first body paragraph for an essay on the impact of the American Revolution. And remember that you need to provide the thesis statement. So let's see what ChatGPT gives us. We can see that it does provide us a body paragraph outline with the focus on the first main idea of the thesis statement, securing independence. We get a topic sentence, 3 sub-ideas, and a concluding or linking sentence, which kind of gives a gist of the body paragraph. Remember to ask for the outline because you do not want your teenager to write the entire paragraph using ChatGPT. Sometimes we need to provide one example to help ChatGPT perform a task. Let's see how we can use one-shot prompting to get a better outline for our body paragraph. So you can see that by entering a one-shot prompt with an example for the outline for a body paragraph for the American Revolution, I am able to provide direction to ChatGPT and it can guide me by providing an output similar to a related topic on the civil rights movement. So you can see that I entered the prompt and I got a similar body paragraph with the same style and structure as the example to help me draft my body paragraph. And you can see that I've used the outline because, as you know, we want our teen to write the body paragraph. Now let's look at multi-shot prompting, which is a technique used in large language models such as ChatGPT, where we can provide more than one example of how a task should be performed before asking it to produce a new response. Now, let's take a look at a multi-shot prompt. In this case, I will be using 2 sample outline. So you can see the first one is about the civil rights movement and the second one is about the Industrial Revolution. And based on these example outlines, I want ChatGPT to provide me an outline for my body paragraph on the main idea of securing independence as an impact of the American Revolution. Now, the reason for using 2 examples could be that I need to provide more focus to ChatGPT for it to help me get better guidance, and also maybe one example could focus on refined tone and the other example could focus on chronology as a strategy. So you can see by combining the aspects and basis the pattern, I'm able to get a more focused and better quality output for my body paragraph. So this is how multi-shot prompting is useful. Now let's look at temperature as a parameter that determines the level of randomness in the model's output texts. Lower values of temperature make the responses more focused and predictable, and higher values create more diverse, creative, and random output texts. Let's have a look at how setting the value of temperature helps us in creating an interesting hook for our introduction to the essay. Now, let's write a prompt to ask ChatGPT to create an interesting hook for our essay. So when we look at the introduction, we want to create a hook which will grab the attention of the readers. If I set the temperature value to 0.75, I will get a hook which is a little more dynamic with enriched vocabulary. And now when I will set the temperature value to say 0.3, I will get a hook which is a little more focused and predictable. Both the hooks would grab the attention of the readers. Setting the value is completely up to you. So you can see that setting the value of temperature can help you create more or less random output texts. Another way to set the temperature value is to use it to create the final sentence of your essay at the end of the conclusion. You can see that if you set the parameter, that is the temperature value, to 0.75, you will get an interesting sentence which is dynamic and again with enriched vocabulary. And if you set the value to a lower value, that is let us say that we want a more focused and predictable sentence, so we can set a value of 0.3. So I think that will be a good idea. If you set the value to 0.3, you will see that you will get an interesting sentence. However, this sentence will be a little more formal and structured. It is up to you to use any value for temperature, and it is not mandatory to use temperature. However, with the use of this parameter, you can see that you will be able to create interesting hooks and interesting concluding sentences to make your essay more interesting to the reader. For more focused body paragraphs, setting temperature values between 0.2 to 0.3 makes your essay more academic. It is recommended to use temperature values between 0.5 to 0.7 for engaging hooks and concluding sentences. Finally, some do's and don'ts. Use zero-shot prompting for just the outline of the essay. And you can use multi-shot prompting where you need more examples or you need to highlight the impact of the event. Remember, you can use high temperature, that is with values of greater than 0.5, for mainly the hook or the concluding sentence. Try to use lower temperature values for the body paragraphs. Also, remember, it is not necessary to use the temperature all the time.